Hello everyone, in this video we're going to have a look at Perception 2, new module released for Game Creator 2, and we're going to have a deep dive. So here we are in the project, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have a look at the examples, see everything it contains. So if you use Game Creator 1, Perception was kind of part of behavior, quite limited though. It was a view cone, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with basic view cones, but it was quite basic. Meaning that for proper stealth games it didn't really cut it, and obviously with some custom work you could get to the basics, but that's nothing compared to Perception 2. This is a whole other beast. There's more than just sight for one, so yeah, let's get to it. So first off, we're starting with the awareness, and this is more than just sight. So one of the cool things here, so yes, we have our peripherals. You turn on gizmos, and let's get to scene view. Turn on gizmos, you'll see a dark area and a lighter area. So that's the peripheral area. So that does still build up. It just builds up slower, which I think is just really cool. That is indeed how most stealth games work. So yeah, really cool stuff. And there we go. And yeah, we lose sight as well, which obviously is really nice. And as you can see now, he can't see me. So why can't he see me? Is because sight actually has luminance, so it actually takes light into consideration. Now if you're thinking that's just a basic trigger, no, actually when looking at the platform, we're literally just turning down the light intensity. So yeah, really cool stuff. So that's in a nutshell how the sight works. It's supposed to look pretty basic because you don't want a huge setup, but yeah, it's really cool stuff. I'm actually really happy with this. This is awesome. So let's have a look at the next step, because sight view cones, quite standard stuff. It's just done much better than in the first one, much better. Then we have proximity. No, don't save. So proximity is something else, and at first I didn't really get the point of this, and now it's like one of those things you're like, well, that's kind of obvious, of course it should be there. So the enemy, and again, these are things that your enemy is you can add multiple, and that's kind of the point. The demos are just showing them separately, but this is basically feel, and in order to make sure we don't have to rely on the actual rigid bodies to feel, because that would be a lot more performance intensive, we have a proximity sensor, if you will, which is really cool because that's something you can actually influence, of course, by having a crouch in stealth mode. So you crouch from behind, no problem. If you're not crouched, then proximity will still turn on, which I think is just a really cool thing. So yeah, for proper stealth things, that's really nice. But we can actually be using this for so much more than just perception. Yeah, it's pretty good. We're gonna do a lot more with this. So then next up, we have noise, and no, don't save. Noise is really cool, and let me turn down my volume like a lot. His first recording, all you could hear was basically that sound. There we go. So I'll turn it on in the recording as well, just so it doesn't blow. There we go. Our footsteps are actually being recorded by the enemy too. So there's everything you can set, and then the thunder is basically masking that, which is really cool. We can whistle. So if we whistle, that's the sound he picks up on. If we whistle now, then he will go straight away. Used in famous stealth games like Assassin's Creed, where whistling is actually kind of a big feature. So yeah, really happy with this. Of course, having sound in there is kind of a big deal for any type of stealth game. So yeah, really, really happy to see that. And not just stealth games, actually. These days, everything kind of needs stuff like this in there. We've got camouflage in here as well, which is just it's just really funny. I'm quickly going to show it. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But yeah, literally you can, there's a box. Reminds me of those Call of Duty videos where people are messing up everyone's game by turning into objects. But yeah, not going too deep into that. You can check it out. Now this is really interesting. So we've got obstruction, and obstruction actually uses a second component as well, which we'll have a look at. So we've got wall, and just to show you, there's a character here. So if we change it to cover, he'll see us unless we're crouched, and then he can't properly track us. As you can see, his sight is blocked by the cover, which is, you know, kind of what you want. So yeah, quite good, quite important. Yay. Now this is something that is a bit more, oh, well, let's switch to the wall first. Let's turn off those gizmos, it's a bit much right now. If we switch to glass, it will build up slower. And what do I mean with slower? So we've got an additional component here. So when we have a look at our glass, we've got an obstruction component. So damping, sorry. If I switch to wall now, we'll have a breakdown. And wall doesn't need that, by the way, so that's quite interesting, well, important actually. So by default, if the object has a normal collider, it will simply block and we're done. So that you don't have to do anything for that. But if you want something that has a collider to act differently, because, you know, well, glass is supposed to be transparent, you can have the obstruction basically alter that. So if we do it like this, then you'll see that it builds up really slowly, so you can have different levels of transparency to objects. It's just really cool. Then we have high grass that uses the same component, and the reason for that is, again, games like Assassin's Creed, you can hide in grass, but as you can see, there's no actual physical box collider. It's set as a trigger, so it normally wouldn't stop it. And then with the obstruction component attached to it, we can actually just hide in nothingness, and yeah, that's kind of the point. So yeah, really nice to see this. You know, basically everything that is kind of needed to make your own Assassin's Creed is now in there, so that's really good. But now let's get to I skipped it for a reason. Let's get into the weird one. So this is smell. Now the reason I'm saying it's a weird one is because it's just not something that will often be used. Yeah, it just won't be. So basically we have smell. So the enemy has a smell component, and as you can see, the player is exuding, would you say it like that, a lot of smell. So this is kind of how it works. So you'll see the trail, and then the enemy is basically tracking that to the best of his abilities, because I'm pretty sure this is not nav meshed, and he's basically picking up on the smell. Now this is actually really cool. I'm sure there's plenty of games that actually use something like this in the background and we just don't realize it. I'm sure games like Red Dead just have it in there because Red Dead has everything. But games like The Witcher, pretty sure anything with animals would use this. So you could actually have animals pick up on smell components the best, and then have terrible sight, but also good hearing, I guess. But yeah, there's this is definitely a bit of a strange one. I'm happy that in scene mode we see it so clearly, because at least it explains a bit what's going on. But yeah, it's definitely one of the interesting ones. Now here, when it comes to things like evidence, again, quite important. Why? Because of because of components. So we've got our door, and then you'll see the evidence action in place. So this will trigger for the enemy that something is going on and he needs to investigate it. Again, incredibly common for stealth games. He didn't actually see the player here. That's the important part. He just saw us tampering with the door because of the instruction. And then we've got the radio as well, which is kind of a big thing. And again, we've got the tampering. So he'll go investigate that as well. And we see the component light up.
And now live from the Geico Fox Sports Radio
because
studio.
it's what he needs to pay attention to. So really cool stuff. Quite glad this is in here, because these are little things, and I'm sure we could find our way to, get to something similar. But yeah, this an action for it just makes things so much simpler. Now this is something that is really cool for group behavior. Group behavior is something that is not easy to do in the first place. It's quite difficult to do group behavior at all. So having a way to get some type of group behavior in there is really nice, and he'll just alert his pals, and that's something you need in group behavior, because this way we can basically create group behavior in a much more interesting way. So yeah, again, really nice touch. There's a couple of other things. I'm just going to show you the traps because it's just really cool and well done. So definitely have a look. But basically, it's all quite simple to set up. I mean, that is obviously always going to be the point. It needs to be simple to set up. However, and there we go. It's so much more versatile than in the first game creator. And again, there was nothing so much wrong, and look, it just raises his awareness straight away. In simple instruction and done. So really nice. But there's a lot of things that you couldn't really do with the first game creator without a bunch of custom stuff in there. And this feels like it's almost going overboard. Not in a bad way, because it's all really simple to set up. I just didn't expect things like smell to be in there, for example. But yeah, really cool stuff. Definitely check out all of the examples. Just keep in mind that the whole point of this, by the way, is enemies will normally have multiple. So these examples just show you one, but things like proximity, view cones for awareness, and noise, like all of those sensors should all be on there. The only one that is a bit more specific, like smell, might not be something you add for everything unless you're like doing something with tracking or etc. in your game. But the first three basically should just be on all of your characters at all times, pretty much. So yeah, really cool stuff. Really glad this came out. This is a really welcome addition to add a level of complexity to your projects without a big setup, because that's kind of the point. You want a simple setup, and this is a really simple setup. So yeah, really nice stuff. Definitely check this out, and honestly, it's really simple to set up. So definitely have a look at this. So that's it for this video. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.